the special things that is part of New Zealand motor racing, and that's families. There's the Palmers, there's the Smiths, there's the Oxfords, and the Lawrence family is right up there with them. So when this was first put to Shag, that there would be an evening in his honour, he said no. Not just me, I could not have done it without my family. So I'm going to get Graham to come up now and just to talk about what this means to him, and I'm going to get his brothers up as well, so we can have all the Lawrence boys and a bit of a chat with them. So, Graham, I'm not going to ask you to climb the stairs, so I'll come to you. But you can stand. Because everybody wants to see you. Now, you are the youngest of the four. Great threads, by the way, Shag. You look really sharp. You are the youngest of the four brothers?
No doubt about that at all.
Someone earlier on told me you were in fact the oldest, and I just thought you had a hard life.
Has been up and down.
So, let's just hear your words of what this evening means to you. You take the microphone so you can share.
I just feel it's great and feel very honoured, humbled to think that just to start out doing something that I enjoy, which I think even to this day I still enjoy driving. How it could end in something like this, never ever in my wildest dreams would I ever thought something like this could happen, or that we could do and meet so many people, and also along the way have some great friends and some great rivalries and battles.
Graham, some people have come from far and wide across the planet to be here with you this weekend, so maybe you could call them out and they can stand so we can all remember them.
Cheers, yeah. These people, I've made a couple of phone calls and they were down there like a shot and said, we'll be there, definitely, no doubt about it all. And also, very proud that with having four sons, this is the first time I've had the four of them together for a long time. So Darren, thank you for having me. And very special and super good friends, Davey, Rachel and Korea Jones from the US. And the tallest guy in this room tonight, friends Sonny and Penny So from the Malaysia. And now the thing is, where would we be that without those fucking Aussies? All this going, Chris Aussie. And Dean Ducey. Thank you guys.
Okay, before we light the candle, Shag, let's just, the other members of the Lawrence family, can you introduce your brothers, please?
My brother Tony. And little brother Wayne. And they were on their wives as well. What we're going to ask them to do is there's 3 wicks on the candle here, and we'd like to light that in celebration of those that can't be with us, those that have helped us along the way, those that are coming up. Thank you.
pressing question that has been bugging me for probably 60 years. So now is the time that I'm going to get it answered, because when I first started going to Pukekohe in the late 60s in my pram, the shiniest wheels, the most polished, the cleanest wheels on any single seater was Jimmy Palmer's. They were just absolutely beautiful. I mean, Jimmy stopped racing. It's like the Lawrences decided to take that mantle and we were going to have the cleanest, tidiest, most polished wheels. So which one of the four of you was responsible? Wayne, okay, let's start with you, Wayne. Because you would have had the smallest hands, so you could have got into the creases and all the small bits.
Well, I was the only one that turned up because the other two brothers had buggered off for the night and Rome needed them clean, so it was left to me.
So is the story true that your ability to get a car cleaned all came from the fact that your dad used to drive a taxi in Wanganui, but in the afternoons on a Saturday, that taxi used to get turned into a wedding car, so the Lawrence boys would descend on it? Is that true? How did that work, Tony?
Well, we found out difficulty, to be honest with you. But under serious threat from Dougie, we were allowed to go and do something once we'd finished all our jobs. The trouble was the jobs used to last until 8 or 9 o'clock at night, so we never got to see him go out anywhere.
So, of the four of you, Brian, you're the one that often you would be able to do the deals with Davy Jones and Dean Hall and with the Stappers and bring them to New Zealand for cars which for Graham to race. So, you were a part of that wonderful Formula Pacific period of New Zealand motor racing.
It was an unbelievable time. I think you look back and people say, oh, they were the good old days. Every day is a bloody good old day, every day. But they were sensational. The people we met, the people that we welcomed to our country here and shared similar friendships overseas, you can't go across them. You really can't.
That's it.
They always said, if it's fun, it's not work. Well, I've never had a job.
While I've got the four of you here, I think it's also, you just mentioned Doug, and he was obviously the person that instilled this great passion in motor racing in all of you, because he was a racer himself, Graham.
Yeah, that sort of in the early days, we learned what can be do a bit of motocross and motorcycling, and that's how we learned to ride motorbike, because when they went out, bricks and like to go for a ride around the block. And same thing with the cars. We were about, I suppose, 11 or 12, and Tony, I had quite a few turns at that, and then somebody said, if I can't have a go, I'm going to tell him. So he came up. So that made three, so that's in our times that we had it. And then after a while, another one came along. So at the end of the day, our little drives and steps and weight in the cars cut down by 25%.
Now, Tony, you were a top-line saloon driver in the late 60s, so I mean, you were out there doing it as well, but obviously at some point, did you decide that the money or all the effort was not worth what was going into it?
Well, the effort was always worth it, but it's, it would become a money from when it just, if you wanted to be there, you had to have the money to buy the good gear and so on. I'm not leaving that. I had a great time. I enjoyed every moment and all the guys, the year that I raced against, and it was great. I have no regrets for it.
And Wayne, your involvement, obviously, you've been the non-driver of the
slow on the last corner, if I come over to jump down the hill, I could probably go the inside of it, which I duly did. But the knobbly tyres didn't work because they were just road tyres on the grass, and both of us went across the finish line on our backsides. Ryan was the commentator, and he couldn't finish the commentary. That was my only race, first and last. Yeah, right.
No problem. Okay, well look, we're going to have a bit more of a chat with Shag later on in the evening, and but right now it's time to start getting ourselves ready for dinner. So thank you, Lawrence boys. We will catch you later on. Stand-up, sit-down game. So the stand-up, sit-down game is going to start tonight. But please stand up if you've ever been in any form of a car race or motorbike race with a member of the Lawrence family. That's Stay standing if you ever competed in the New Zealand Grand Prix. Stay standing if you ever won the New Zealand Grand Prix. Warwick Brown, 1975. What a day it was. I'll check with you after dinner. 1983 New Zealand Grand Prix. David Austin. Great day, wasn't it?
Well, I waited a long time to do it. 16 years as a matter of fact, but made it in the end, yeah.
It was a wonderful day. I remember it so clearly. And 1976. Over 14 years after 1990 is, and you do it every 14 years, you must be due to win another Grand Prix, Kenny.
We went past the last time I ever made it.
Well, the first time you won it, there are so many people that are in the room tonight that were in that race. Paul Bernasconi, Bruce Ellison, Graham Lawrence. What a day that was.
Yeah, it was a great day. No, it was great. I mean, it does get back all the time. So it was a great day.
Wonderful stuff. Thank you very much. Now, if you ever set a world record on water, would you stand, please? Hello, Heather. New Zealand's Queen of Speed, Heather Swill, welcome.
Thank you.
Rightio. Now, what about if, hang on, I'm getting a call up here from Shag. Graham. Davy Jones, 1984 and 1987 New Zealand Grand Prix winner. Davy. I saved the best hairstyle for last as well. I remember I was following the British Formula 3 Championship in 1983, so I remember your hairstyle when you were 19 years old. What year to pick Formula 3? Edwin Senna was in the field.
Yeah, it was the roll of the dice, I guess. You know, it's either all on red or all on black.
Yeah, well, you know, you were a big part of the New Zealand motor racing scene because you'd come back, you'd drive for Shag, and it was pretty significant because that was our primary category, New Zealand Grand Prix, the big deal. You won it twice.
I barely knew anything about New Zealand. When I arrived, Jack picked me up at the airport. We went straight to Pukekohe, and I got fitted in the car, and went through the practice sessions and won the race. And then I realized afterwards that I had just won the New Zealand Grand Prix. So I didn't know at that time. I didn't have a chance. I was still jet lagged to really figure out how prestigious that race is, and to look back on it now and see the likes of Jack Brabham.
sports cars?
Yes, and I look back on it now. You kind of look back at who's helped you along the way, and not only many thanks to Graham for bringing me over here, but you look at Danny Smith and David Oxton and how much I've learned from racing against them and with them. And Kenny, that's the checkbook that you carried inside the car, so you wave that to me to try and entice me to let you drive.
And of course, back in those days, Murray Taylor, another Kiwi, played a huge part because you drove for his Formula 3 team in 1983.
I did. You kind of realize how all this kind of comes together because it happens fast back then. Murray Taylor is the one that actually put the word into Graham Norris and bring him here. I went to the UK at the end of 1982 to run 2 Formula 3 races with Murray Taylor, and it was enticing to go back there the following season to do the full championship. But that's when Murray had said to Graham that you should bring me down to the Formula Tasman series, and I didn't even know it. Here I am at home, back in upstate New York in the States, getting ready for the holidays, and then I get a phone call to come race here over your winter series, and the next thing I know, I was on an airplane. But back then the airplane ride was from New York to Montreal to Vancouver, which was responsible for Canadian Pacific Airlines, to Hawaii to Fiji to Auckland. So I didn't know where the hell I was going. And Graham keeps saying, he says, when I met him at the airport, I gave him just this really warm, welcome hug from Graham. And I'm like, yeah. I was like a lost child. I didn't know where I was going. So no, it was good.
Well, you learn very quickly that world motor racing kind of circles around New Zealand. We're a long way from anywhere, but this is where it happens.
It's the most friendliest people on the planet, I swear. It's just so great. And I say that not only because I'm in New Zealand, but it's wherever I'm at in the world. You guys are just kind of like spread out all through motor racing, and it's wonderful to see. In the IndyCar series currently, I think it's Scott McLaughlin, Scott Dixon, just great guys, and just trying hard and all that. I've got a mate sitting back there, Mike Finch, that I'm just delighted to see. He's been in the States for a long time, he's back in New Zealand, and we've done a lot of stuff together. So, yeah, it's all good. It's like being home.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Davey.
Sam, his wife, her mum is about to pass by, so Dean regrets it. I want to say to everybody, hey, great to see you. He said, I will see you all. Got non-refundable tickets, and so I'm going to use it. So, thanks everybody.
Now, another driver that raced for you was a fellow called Jos Verstappen. He'll be in Melbourne at the moment. I would imagine that he could just as easily have flown over, brought his boy with him. Hasn't turned up. Close touch.
He was going to come, and Max was going to come as well, but he had a few things to do. And when they found out that they had to pay, they said, no way.
All right. What about, let's stand up if your father ever decided to take you to the car racing and then disappear towards the end of the day to actually take the family Citroen to compete in the final race of the afternoon. The Lawrence family. I'm going to walk down here and ask Brian to tell us how that went.
We were living in Longyear at the time, my dad was a Citroen dealer. So as a family practice all into the Citroen, I can't remember if it was a big 15 or a right 15 or I know it was back.
good time. So it ended up in session and disappeared, and we didn't take too much notice at the time. And I think it was probably by the last race, the boys were looking at this side, that this session goes, well, not fast, but fast enough. With a sand, we call the white sand, she cleaned the number, whatever it was on the window, it was 8. Before I found out somebody put the number on the window, and he was off and out. And that's the way up there and taught us up, and we wouldn't stop that as well.
Exactly.
Okay, can everybody in the room stand up who's ever been the team manager of a team that won the Indy 500, please? So that was a great day. 1986, the owner of the team was just days away from succumbing to cancer, and Bobby Rahal managed to provide them with the greatest gift possible.
Yeah, it was a bittersweet weekend actually, because we started True Sports Racing in 1982 with Jim and Bobby Rahal. And Bobby Rahal has raced in New Zealand for a bit, and we knew nothing about IndyCar racing whatsoever. Going around in circles, couldn't figure that out for a while. But 86, the first weekend, the whole weekend was rained off, so it was delayed a week, which raised the blood pressure significantly anyway. But Bobby managed to win it, but Jim died 10 days after the 500, and I thought that was the total end of the team actually. But unbeknownst to me, in his will, he left me part ownership of the team. We had significant sponsorship from Budweiser, so we continued on that year, won the IndyCar Championship, and then the next year we won the IndyCar Championship again. One little known fact, we also ran Andy Light's team, and Steve Lunn drove for us and won his first Indy Lights team on IndyCar races.
Thank you, Steve. Right, well, it's coming up nearly time for dinner at Team 2, I think, and dinner is at 7. So I thought we'd get Shag just beforehand to tell us a little story about the most significant car in your career. And it's fair to say that lots of things happened in King's Cross after dark. And some of them stay on tour, and other stories can actually be talked about. What are we talking about here, Shaq? 54 years later, you can probably talk about what happened in King's Cross.
Red, very hard. That's about all I can say. Obviously, we're talking about Dina. She was beautiful, and the boys and I were all back with mates up at King's Cross wandering around, and we got to Chris Amon, a few of the guys that had been out here with that year, and Chris and I were sitting down, and I said, Jack, do those cars really get crushed? everybody came into play. And we just sold McLaren to a friend. And he paid out, I think about $6,000 or $7,000 dollars. That was good price in those days. So finally, we're about almost $6,000 short. So I went to see Shell, and we hadn't done any deal for that final season. I said, we need secrecy, I need to have a meeting with you, and also with the finance guy. So when they told them what the story was, they said, we don't believe it. So then I laid all the papers and the letters out on the table. I said, hold on. So they got together, worked out a budget that over the next 2 years, in the contract, if I run this money, I'd have enough money to pay them back. And if you don't, you got to pay us back in 2 years' time. Piece of this. So that was fine. Another side of Bruce and Harry, who was a mate, had been a schoolmate, and Bruce had gone to Europe with Chris. And at this stage, Bruce had developed into the chief development engineer with Firestone. So I rang him when we were negotiating, when they finally said we could have a car. And he said, you know what? All sorts of tyres out. A couple of days later, he rang up. He said, how would you like to do some tyre testing for us in New Zealand? I said, love to. He said, well, pay you that, so much of that, to insure the car and all this sort of thing. Anyway, he came out with loads of tyres, and we had a great time at Laverne, and then at Bay Park, I think it was, to do testing and everything. And they paid. I went back down to Shell, paid it back the money, and still had something else in the hole. So it was a good deal. The other thing is that, unfortunately, Bruce passed away about 3 years ago, and at his funeral, a gentleman came up to me and said, right, he said, I was the Firestone finance guy at that time, and I authorised the budget. I'm very happy to meet you.
Unfathomably, there was a point during the whole negotiations where it looked like the car might have to change colour.
Yeah, we had the Air New Zealand sponsorship, and for them to move into motorsport was a real touchy thing. Because when I was in England building up the McLaren that's in the marquee over there, Dad said to me, look, I'm going to go and do a deal with someone who gets a sponsorship. So, as I understand the story of this way, he knew Hunter McNichol from Air New Zealand, walked into his office, shut the door, and said, I'm here, and we're not leaving until we've done a deal. So he did a deal, and of course, we had the McLaren in that beautiful orange, and Dad said to me, when the deal was done, the car's got to be painted in white and gold. I said, do that? So anyway, I looked at what the deal and the sponsorship was. I said, yes, we can. No doubt about it. Anyway, when the Ferrari came, I thought, you can't pay for anything under the moon. So quite immediately, I went and had a meeting with Hunter, took him out to lunch and really pissed at his photo. I said, look, this is the story. So I showed him his photos. He said, no problem, should be right. So it stayed in the red with the Air New Zealand logo.
Yeah, a smooth talker, Shane. I'm going to put myself on mute now, and we're going to have dinner. So we'll get some more interviews, and JT and I will walk the room after dinner time. We've got, I think, what the young people call a shout-out to a young lady whose birthday it is tonight, Alyssa. Now, I know Ray Williams has the most beautiful singing voice, and I'm not going to ask Ray to wish to sing you happy birthday, but on behalf of all of us, happy birthday, Alyssa. Now, two things that came from our dining experience. Compliments to the chefs tonight. Our table at least thought tonight's food was the best that we've had at a Hampton Downs function for some time. So, thank you very much. And the other thing was, I was reminded that last year at the Whenua Pukekohe / honour of Jim Palmer evening, that in the stand-up, sit-down section, I asked for people who'd ever raced in the Benson and Hedges to stand up, and then I asked for people to stay standing if they didn't cheat. And there are some people who have not spoken to me since that evening, so that did not feature in tonight's stand-up, sit-down, but I think given the importance that both Australia and New Zealand place on such a significant race as Bathurst, we might as well ask everybody in the room who's ever competed in the Bathurst 1000 or the Bathurst 500 as it used to be in the Party Ferrari in the good old days, to stand up please.
Yeah, right. Came back.
Either ended up on the rostrum or if it was before the days of the rostrum, you were in the top 3. Well, look at that. A couple of Hamilton boys. Who'd have thought? So I'm going to start with one of those Hamilton boys, and then JT, I think you're going to have a word to the other one. So we talked before, Shag, about the most significant car in your life, the Ferrari, the car that made you, really. And but another car that I think very few people will know about, the Spirit of Edmonton. Tell everybody about how that came about, and for heaven's sake, please talk into the microphone for a change.
Dave McMillan had been a good friend for a number of years, and he came from Hamilton. In fact, we first met him with his mate Tubby Harwood, and they had this 49 Ford, and Jimmy knows a fair bit about this, so there was a fair bit of hilarity that went on in Hamilton. Anyway, Dave came with us to Australia when we first went with the Brabham, and then moved on when we went to Europe. When we came home, he moved on to the US with Fred Opert, and then just stayed on there doing different things with different teams. And then we were in Japan with the Ferrari at the Japanese Grand Prix, and about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, phone goes, and it was Dave. He said, Shag, he said, how would you like to come to the US and drive in the Can-Am series? And of course at that hour in the morning I said, yeah, sure, why not? He said, okay, I'll ring you back in a couple of days and let you know, and that was it. Anyway, a couple of days later he rings up, he said, yep, the deal's on. Just get yourself here and they'll look after everything from there on in. The basics of it was that it turned out to be the car that I drove was the car that I did all the testing in 1968 with Bruce and with Denny. So it was really interesting to sort of halfway, familiarise myself with it again. So naturally, as you can well imagine, getting out of the Ferrari, which had just under 300 brake horsepower, into a Can-Am car which has got about 6 or 7 or 800, whatever it is, it was a big difference. What the basis of it was that the City Council and a few wealthy guys wanted to publicise the Spirit Loves the city of Edmonton. So they all got together and bought this Can-Am car, and in Edmonton itself there was something like 650,000 people. And you could pay $5 and you got a decal, as they call them, and you became a financial member in the Spirit of Edmonton. So in a sense, I don't know how many they sold, but I had plenty of people come up to me and say, listen, you're not driving my car well enough, just be careful, I won't get out on your ass. So we did the Can-Am series. It was wonderful, met some super nice people, many that we were still in touch with, and it was a great time, very great time. I do remember that at Riverside, I didn't even sell to scrub off the tyres. My mate Sal over here, him and Dougie had this thing. Sal used to scrub all the stones off the tyres when the car came in, and he complained one day that the file that Dougie had bought him was worn out. So he bitched on for quite a while, and then one day Dougie finally gave him a new file, so he was all sweet from there. So down at the first race was at Mosport, and it was the same year that unfortunately Bruce passed away. And Denny came to me and said, look, whatever you do, when you're going up over the hill down the back straight, don't have your nose up the bum of another car because they get pretty light in the front end. And he said, these cars, especially this model that you've got, are not that good in the front end. So I was a bit cautious about that. And in the race itself, and I still can see it to this day, Jackie Oliver had his nose up the bum of someone, I think it was a guy called George Fulmer, and over this hump, and next one, Jackie Oliver's upside down like that, about 30 or 40 feet in the air, and just see him laying back like that, and I thought to myself, man, this ain't going to end quite so good. Anyway, I got to whack up the bum, push along the guardrail, so that put me over to one side and out of the road, but it was a mess with Jackie Oliver. So that in a sense, a wonderful car to drive, but the aerodynamics, they played a big part in it.
Thank you, Shane. So who knew that we had yet another Can-Am driver amongst the top line big names of Amon, Hulme and McLaren? JT.
Okay, so the whole theme of the evening, the whole theme of the evening is about families in motorsport, as Graham's brought all his family into the tour. As he said, he couldn't have done without it. So we're going to concentrate on talking to some people about family in motorsport. And the other Hamiltonian driver, who was pretty special, was a bloke called Jim Palmer. You'll stand up, Jim. This guy was a superstar in the really early days of the Tasman series and the New Zealand 1.5 metre Formula, and rescued some pretty hot shoes. You usually first Kiwi home.
Oh yes, and the Tasman series in the early days was, we had world champions, PTD all the time, and the overseas guys were also Australian,
But your dad was also a very, very influential part of your motor racing, wasn't he? He got you right into it in day one.
Yeah, well, Dad started, he raced motorbikes, speedboats, cars, and we grew up, so Mr. Lawrence was probably my mother went without a few things. Overall, it worked out pretty good as a family, and luckily I'm not sure it was like the dog, but I didn't have any brothers, so I had no one to help me.
Yeah, well, he got his share.
Sorry about that.
I need to go and retune this thing, so yeah, I think Michael's got his one turned on, so I need to go and retune this. Jimmy, thank you very much for taking us on that chat.
Good as gold, thanks, John.
I'm going to ask our three Aussie Formula 5000 stars just to perhaps come over and stand here and have a quick chat. I'm going to start with you, Warwick. I think this is the first time you've ever come to New Zealand that I've seen you coming over for these festivals without Kevin Bartlett. I thought you two were joined at the hip.
Well, Shag and Kevin himself are renowned as being the Lowell Olympus. I think everybody knows about that. We all had pretty bad accidents in Lowell's, and we're a bit of a sight for a wobbling down the pits all one way and bumping into each other and stuff. Obviously Shag is the shortest, Kevin is the tallest, and I sort of keep them apart in the middle. But if you can just indulge me for 1 second, I want to say a couple of things about what he was mean to myself and my other Aussie drivers. One, we just love your spirit and the camaraderie that we've had over the years. I had a real association in my whole career with Kiwis, both as drivers. Chris Hayman was a partner of mine in '75 for some races. Obviously Shag, we fought each other for a few years and came out of talking to each other, which was great. But even from the engineering point of view, most of my mechanics were bloody Kiwis. Phil Harris and Gary Simpkin, the Kiwis. I think they're both in Australia now. Over here we've got Steve Hall. Steve was my team manager for the VDS years in America, and he's been almost here when I do great things and won the Indy 500. So there's just a whole bunch of Kiwis there that have been fantastic. There's one more little serious thing I want to say, and I feel very strongly about this. I think all the credit in the world should be paid to Shag's brother Brian and Gary Pedersen, my apologies, for the kindness and effort they showed to our good friend, Rowan. They made Graham's life very palatable towards the end. I don't think many people know about it, and I think they deserve bloody medals.
I'll tell you this, a quick wee story seeing we're talking about families. Graham used to say to me many times, he used to look at David and Steve Oxton and Jimmy and George Palmer and Maury and Keane Smith and of course Lawrence's with such envy because they had a father, they all had a father to go motor racing with and Graham didn't. And Graham had a few chips on his shoulders and that was one of them, but he was absolutely in awe and envious of those guys that had that amount of family support.
I'll tell you one little story. A few years ago, when Brian was in very bad circumstances, I was talking to Brian, and Brian said, I said to Brian, is there any chance I could see him? So, because I was a pilot in those days, we could fly out here all the time. So I ended up in Melton Airport one night about 9 o'clock and bring Brian up. They took me out to where Old Cassius was, and they must have had a pretty well medicated because it took them about 10 minutes to get him up and get him going. Anyway, so he turns around and Brian said to me, you know this guy? And he looked, a little bit of a smile, I know, bastard. So I said, yeah, and I didn't know what to say to him. I'd like a beer and headlights, I just said, Graham, you just need to know there's a whole shitload of Australians out there that admire everything you did and just think you walked on board and you were the greatest and they really want you to know that. And you know what he said to me? He looked up to me and said, you're the only Aussie bastard that's ever said that to me. So,
Well, Warwick, you might remember when you and I caught up one time I took Graham over to Phillip Island in 2008 and you told me a story about hiding in the banks watching Graham testing at Levin. Would you like to tell that story?
Yeah, well, okay, let's talk about memories. Probably about 10 years ago, I ran into Graham at Phillip Island and I always wondered what Graham knew. I've got a story for Shaggy, that's what he knew too. Different circuits. Graham was, as you know, at Levin, second and a half years in front, he looked like goats, So I said, mate, there's no sheep station thing, So he looked at me and he said, all right, he said, I'll answer your question if you'll answer mine. Right. He said, in 1974, 3 it was, he said, was that you and Malloy peering over the bank, watching me? Yes, it was. I said, yeah, mate, put my hand up. So he remembered that, and then I asked, and then I said, well, okay, so I'll answer your question. What's my answer to what I've asked? He said, 4-wheel steering. So 4-wheel steering, I went home, I rang my lawyer, I said, can you use me again? I said, how can you do it, genius? How can you do what's this 4-wheel steering stuff? And if you think about it, and this is where McRae was such a leader and a great thinker. In 1973, he was the European Formula 5000 champion. He was the American Ironman champion. He had an Indy ride and a Formula 1. He had the world at his feet. So this stagger is talking about. Sorry, 4-wheel steering. In other words, a stagger. What he used to do, if you think about it, they go up, they turn left, they go up left, 4 left-hand corners. So they used to run the right-hand rear with more cushion and a bit of rolling on that diameter, make the car turn nice. So getting back to Levin, what's at Levin when you think about it? There's about 6 left-hand corners and 1 right-hand. So Malloy used to run high pressure in his back right-hand tyre, which made him turn really good through the 6 left-hand corners. And he probably got half a second through the right-hand corners and made us look like we were in another world. And that's why I admired the bloke. I raced against him a lot. The other thing with Shags, we had a discussion about this a few years ago. We were talking about him, and I said to Shag, listen, you and I had some real battles at Adelaide. What did you know in Adelaide? She said, he does it for. I don't know. I said, I did everything that he showed me with a hammer. I could get to him, but I could never get past him. It didn't matter what, you know. So then he said to me, this is to tell you about the fleeting natures of motorways and back into all science, it's a bit of magic to it. And he said, well, you did the same thing at Oran Park. Which is true, I was pretty dominant at Oran Park for 5 years. And he said, what did you know? I thought about that and I said, I don't know, Shag. So all we're saying is we are now, you know, Shag is young. 65-year-old Shag, and I'm a young 70-year-old, 74 at I am. And we're just so appreciative to be here, and we're so appreciative to spend some time with people like you and talk about that.
Great stuff. Thank you. One last question, Warwick, before you sit down. KB, how is he? Because he's got a huge fan base here in New Zealand. Part of the reason my Formula Ford is yellow is because when I saw his Mildred car when I was a little boy going to motor racing, it just stood out. So tell us how KB is.
Kevin's fine. He's sitting on his farm up there in Maloney, which is from west of Brisbane. Ryan's got him working on what he drives the lawnmower and does a few other things. He's probably a bit like me, so I love working, so I can watch it all day. So Kevin's healthy. I think Ryan's got a few battles, but I did everything I could, I promise you, to get Kevin to come, and he just said, look, I can't leave running. He was just and Philip Holland last weekend for the Formula 5000 thing, which you guys in Christchurch, New Zealand, for some reason is the epicenter of the world for Formula 5000. So they had a great time down there. Kevin was a driver stand this thing. That's a funny thing, right? When he tells me, I said, you telling these young blokes how to behave themselves? I said, kidding. No, he gets away with it. So Kevin is wonderful. He's an institution in Australia where he goes, everybody knows him. He's never changed, he's got Shag, and we're blessed to have him.
Yeah, and he's the only bloke I've ever seen do a manhunt with David Oxford. And it was reciprocated. Warwick, you were a star in the car and you were a star behind the microphone. Thank you so much.
Well, I guess we've got to follow that one on. If we're talking about David Oxton, I'm going to have to get David Oxton to stand up and have a couple of words with us, because you're another man who has had great family involvement with your dad through motor racing. I think you started off with Daimler SP250, didn't you? And went on from other stuff from there.
Yeah. The old Dart, as they call it, the SP250. We started off in a small way. Dad used to buy rail boxes. I think most of us grew up with Dad that did those sort of cars, and the SP250 was the right option. Eventually, we did a bit of help home sharing, and Steve lost a wheel at Pukekohe in his first race meeting, so Mum must have said, that's it, you're out with the kid. And so that was me, I took over, and we progressed to an ex-Shag Lawrence Douglas Lola sports car, and that's a real specialist car. It looked magnificent. Jim Murdoch and I were apprentice mechanics at the time, and Jimmy and I used to pride ourselves on making the car look as good as the Lawrences had it. And just 2 big seasons of that. Ronnie Lettuce saw that there was an opportunity here. One day we were at a hockey, said to Steve, I want to get the ladder running, why don't you grab it? So we had 10 laps and we were. And that was when we bumped into this guy, Graham Lawrence. He was pretty much up there. Jimmy Palmer was the hero. He was the New Zealand champion many times. And Dad and I used to look at these two guys and think, Jesus, they've got beautiful cars. Jimmy had these awesome Lotuses and Brabhams. They were just the top shelf. And then Graham started doing the same thing, got the nice McLaren. And I'm just going to venture off a little bit here, because it's just to draw attention to the importance of Graham Lawrence in history, which hasn't been documented enough, in my opinion. He was a Tasman champion. Very few champions of anything really count for things as much as the Tasman champion at that time. And running against 5,000 cars, 5-litre Chevys, out of England, America, Australia, New Zealand, and Graham and his team really dealt it to everyone with consistency and finesse, and just skill. And congratulations, looking back, Graham. That Tasman Championship was something else. We had a magic time those years. Everyone talks about the good old days. Formula, national Formula cars that we ran in the 67, 68, 69 period was terrific going around the country, camaraderie. As was pointed out, we were lucky we had dads and mums and sisters and brothers, all the people that formed our motorsport. And that was a neat period. Then we went into, with the help of Theo Stanton and Peter Hanna, we had these Formula 5000s coming out from us, from the States. And the advertising from Peter Hanna was magnificent. Come and see cars blowing flames 5 feet out of the exhaust pipe. And of course, let's go and see these things. And it worked. And there were heaps of shit that came. There was one good one, Ronnie Gradle. He was pretty damn good. But that sowed the seed for 5,000. The next year they really came in big. And that's when the big guys came over. The Warwick Browns and latterly Bruce Ellison and Frank Matic was a hero. Neil Allen. So, that rivalry from Australia and New Zealand with, latterly, Kenny was with the little car like I was quite a while. But then we got Kenny, Graham, and myself in 5,000. So, again, we had test series, running marvellous race in Manfield, Cookie, all around the place. It was a nice period.
So sorry, David, just come back out a little bit, because your dad, a lot of people don't know, you're the first person ever to win a Formula 4 race in New Zealand. Your dad actually bought a car out of Australia for you.
Oh yeah, we were a bit he was innovative like that. National Formula died a death because the engines were being stretched to the limit with valve sizes and compressions and so forth. And then when it died, it was, suggestions about what could happen. And Steve was really keen on this Formula 4 thing, so off he goes to Adelaide. Does a deal with Gary Cooper to get the first Alpine 600 when we started Formula 4, in addition with Graham Stone and his help, Super Ford. So I've really always been very, very close to Formula 4. Basically the first one in New Zealand, won the first championship. And today, it's still running strong. It's the best introduction to City Sport in the world. And I think it's a credit to everyone involved, especially now currently we've got Shane Drake and the South Island group resurrecting Formula 4 to where it should be in New Zealand. We're very, very lucky. We're building drivers right, left and centre, just the riches in this country, and it's a credit to the people who are right behind it.
And of course, I run race series, and you're always there giving youngsters advice and giving them some help. And I think you told local James Watson when they had to take say 1 o'clock a carry, and I've got footage of it, and he said, I'm never trying that again.
James is an unusual lad, as we all know. He's a boffin, and the first thing I had to tell James to do is get in the bloody car and throw the data book away, because he would be 10 times better driver. He just loved to fantasise over the figures and the numbers and the compressions and so forth. Kenny used to say, get in there and drive the bloody thing.
I think it was using strong language there. Thank you very much for taking us up.
Pleasure, man. Thank you, John.
David just mentioned Jim Murdoch, and I'm remiss. I had 2 sets of apologies that I needed to extend this evening. One is from Jim and Claire Murdoch, who are in the South Island. I think they're heading to Wings Over Monaco, so they would have loved to have been here, Shane, but they can't be. Jim Murdoch, for those who don't know, the day that Warwick Brown won the New Zealand Grand Prix in 1975, driving a locally built bag, in second place was Jim Murdoch. A pretty huge effort to finish second in a New Zealand built car. And the other apology, he was all set to come, and at the last minute couldn't two-time New Zealand sports car champion in the late 60s. The car that he won the second of his championships is actually in the tent with all of the Lawrence cars. So if you haven't seen it, go and have a look and see what a Australian-built version of a Can-Am car looked like in the mid to late 60s. Right, I'm going to ask Paul Bernasconi, who I haven't met before, and Bruce Ellison, who I've met a few times, to just come up and say a few words, because in the old days of Formula 5000s, we got used to old men coming over here from Australia to race cars. Frank Madich and John McCormick and Kevin Bartlett were all guys that had been around the tracks. Then this young bloke called Warwick Brown came along, and he was fresh-faced. Well, even fresher and younger faces were these two blokes. Little time ago now, but still fresh-faced young fellas. So, Paul, you arrived sort of like a comet from nowhere, and all of a sudden you're a Formula 5000 driver.
Yes, it was, how could you say, a shock for him. Something but being involved in Formula Forward, going from Formula Leader to Formula Forward in Australia, I had to admire, obviously, the heroes of the sport. Warwick Brown is Graham Warwick, who was King of Kids in New Zealand, and of course Phil Stewart. Here I am, spending my own money, racing Formula Forward, and ultimately winning the championship in 1975. Then I get a call. I don't even know how it happened, but jogging to Green Giants, get yourself over to Mary Vale, which I did. Because I didn't even know Max. I didn't even know him. So I was doing my own thing. And I arrived at Mary Vale, the old ship service station, where Max came in. Cars, all like you. Over the corner, Max directs me to a rather forlorn, tired-looking 330 lorry. And I said, what am I supposed to do with that? And he said, well, you're going to drive it. So, thanks to YG and Roy, who was Max's mechanic at the time, I said, don't worry, I'll let you do it. So we did. So I go out and I just estimate my car. So I'm going from 115 horsepower driving at that point, every race, the lap records, pole positions, doing all of that in that car. Fully sponsored by this time by Race Brothers and and then the next step, I'm jumping into 550 horsepower lower. So a little bit of a shock to the system, a lot of adapting to do it, and Max was very helpful, IG was very helpful, and KB, as KB always does, he's always got something to say, always got a comment to make about everything. But they were very helpful. And then, out of the blue, you're going to New Zealand. I said, what? He said, yeah, we're going over to New Zealand for, what was that series that we came over for? Match races and stuff? Oh, it was a Kiwi series. Well, Sharp probably was the saving grace for Max and for Kobe, because Bob Villiers from Sharp decided through a local Terry Book that they wanted to get involved in motor racing. And Max had already placed an order for a brand new Lot 400, along with KB, and that's how the Lot 330 ended up in the corner of the shed and it looked like we couldn't go home. So, coming across to New Zealand, here I am
Houston and his wife Christine, they were based in Alpha Rose along with Johnny French, and they went to Adelaide for one of the Turncoat Championships, and Harry Firth, who's wisdom, was one of the chiefs for years. A lot of people probably know Harry Firth was probably the alternative before that. And being a scrutineer, he was rather methodical about a lot of detail. And the detail got to the point where Christine and Johnny French were racing these Alpha 2000s. And they're in the scrutineering bay. And Harry Firth was doing scrutineering, involved with the scrutineering. So what's he doing? He wheels up production. Alpha Romeo 2000. Parked next to the two Alpha Romeos. One was owned actually by Johnny French, the other was owned by Ryan Fowler. And they knew that we were not cheating, we were creative, right, okay, good word. Doing like Ron Ellis used to do, walking around with the rules, walking his back pocket, trying to work out how to read the rules. So, he pulls out a tape measure, opens the boot for standard 2002 TV, inside wheel punches, goes to racing cars, totally different. So then he went on to hunt for all the other things that he could find, of which he found many. So we were just, how can I say, manipulated the rules enough. And that's why those two cars were really good. Anyway, in the end, they were both penalised, and Freddie rings me and he says, right, you're in Bride's car, I'm in the other car, and the contact driver that Fred had, and Enrico Zanarudi, who was the sales and marketing guy from Alpha Romeo, they brought an Alpha Romeo out from Auto Delta, from the left-hand drive car, and that became the third car that we raced at Atlas. So there's myself, my teammate, well, maybe I was his teammate, but anyway, Tim Champion was the lead driver from one at a time. I was his co-driver. Freddie Gibson and John Fitzpatrick for the second car, and my old mate Tommy Leffler and Murray Cordano for the third car, which was the Auto Delta car. And they sent out not only the car, but they sent out a container full of bits. And when I say bits, by the time Freddie Gibson got through the container, they were just bits. And a lot of it was unusable. But the fact was, it was the works Auto Delta car. And they even sent out their Alpha Romeo Works test run to actually test the car, race it against the others, and ultimately race the cars. One thing you need to know about our two cars is straight away, the cars were far quicker than the Auto Delta car. And in the end, we got to within at Bathurst in 75 to within 2 hours of the finish. And front wheel deflated, tyre deflated, Tim Champion was driving at the time, and the car kicked the car over the top of the hill and they said, wow. But the fact that I was driving in one race, a bit difficult, falling forward trying to win the race, win the championship with points, line up the two-leader Alpha Romeo, followed by, as Max would say, just get in and make sure you finish. You've got a rev limit of 7-8. That's all you can drive because we want to preserve the engine. We want to go and finish. We don't want to go over the way. And to do all of that in one race, maybe, it's just a little testing on that. But anyway, we got through. We came to New Zealand, and here I am, a young, innocent kid on the back tails of KB and Max. I arrive,
one poor innocent little kid. And I just took him on board. Still felt like enough.
Well, that's Kiwi's way. It's quite appropriate that someone with a surname like Bernasconi should be driving off Romeo's, but Bruce, you came here as a young fella as well, and then you came back with a Rolt RT1, and I'd forgotten just how much former Atlantic Pacific racing you'd actually done.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I think I used to go and watch the older gentlemen, Shag, Warwick, Maxi, KB in Australia, and my first chance to race against Kenny and Graham came to the match race in December 75, I think, at Manfield, and that was my first introduction. Well, I think, to be honest with you, first trip overseas ever, sort of thing. So there was three things I remember. Well, there was four things, but I'll name the fourth thing that I like at the end. The first thing was the friendliness of people, and in particular Rob and Wendy Lester. I got introduced to Happy Paddy ice cream. The ice cream was just unbelievable. It was somebody selling the biggest and best strawberries I've ever seen at the entrance of Manfield. And then the racing that weekend was just unbelievable. And Graham knows, his brothers know that I didn't win, but I got a bloody good driving lesson, Shag and that sort of thing. So it was one of, I've had probably three of my best races ever. I won none of them, but I finished second twice with two New Zealanders who I admire and envy, and always have and always will. Graham at that race meeting, Kenny in the New Zealand Grand Prix, I finished second in 76, and the third person was Johnny Walker at Sandown and his Lowell. And I always say to people that if they had those GoPro cameras in those days, I think people wouldn't believe what the racing was like. But to get on to the other subject, I didn't do the 77 series in Australia. Dad bought a Rolt RT1. We come over here and raced against, I think, Henry Rosberg and a whole pile of other guys that come good mates with. And I think I finished third or fourth in the series, but it was a good learning experience for me. And then I went back to race in England in 77, 78, and I retired. And then after nearly 3 years of retirement, Dad got itchy feet and said, we've got to go racing again. So we got an RT4 Rolt. You jump the queue by, I don't know, 100 cars or something, so got it flowing out and won the Australian National Motorcycle Series when I retired at the ripe old age of 28. And so the last time I sat my ass in the car was here, like in 2015. So I've got great memories of this place and all the people. Kiwis have been in my life on and off forever, sort of thing. So, and I wasn't going to come over and see the little mate here, but my wife said if something happens to him and he gets to see me, then he'll forgive himself. So, thank you.
Shag and his family, and it is all about families. So the next bloke I'm going to talk to is actually Shag's best mate, Kenny Smith. And Kenny, you and your mum and your dad, Marty Dorothy, and the Doug and the Lawrence family you guys all went racing together as mates.
Yeah, that's a lot different what it is today, and people were very friendly and engaged. You had issues, you had your friends who helped you, whether they were against you or it was everybody would give you help. And it's great to see Lawrence has recognised for what they've done, because they've been a big part of motor racing.
Certainly have, and you've obviously done a lot of your part as well. But your dad, Doug, was involved. Maury. Sorry for putting in there. Kenny and I have this joke thing going between us. We can never remember names. So, what was your name? Fred. Okay, Fred. So, Kenny, so your mum actually came right with you to the track for race, but she didn't actually watch you race, and she used to sit in the tent knitting.
She spent 50 years going around with the tracks between here and Australia and Malaysia, and she never really saw me drive. She used to always ask my sister, where is he, how's he going, and what happened. Before I went out to any race, she'd say, take it easy and don't get fast.
So, when you started off, you and your dad, Maury, you were car painters, and you were in Otahu, amongst all the Otahu Mafia, as they were called back in the days, Red Dawson, Roddy Coppins, and who else was there? Gus Sunis, all that lot. And your dad had this thing about candy apple red, didn't he? He used to paint a lot of stuff candy apple red.
Right, we did candy apple red, and we did John Robbie's car on that, and I had my own Lotus done with candy apple red. So a new American type paint colour.
Tell us a story about the Ferrari that won the, what's his name? We've done it again, Tell us about the Ferrari that you and your mates were touring around the Pakuranga Highway one day.
That was the Monza Ferrari after it was rebuilt when it got crashed at Ardmore, and a friend of mine owned it, and Michael Furlong, and I was driving up the Pakuranga Highway, probably down to 140 mile an hour, and Barry Norman, my good old mate, was working on the 5,000 for years with me. He was sitting in the middle, and the owner was sitting hard on the left, so he was perched up pretty high, and he was panicking because he was coming out of that car with Windsor. But we used to get away with murder in that car. We used to ground down in us, we used to do 100 mile an hour up streets and that, and all sorts of stuff.
Fair enough. So basically, though, when all you guys went racing, it was really sort of one big camp, wasn't it? You all camped in together, and basically you all helped each other out, and then had a lot of fun afterwards.
Yeah, no, it was good fun, because a lot of racing we did was with David Austin and Graham, and I've always said, and I will say, they were two of the greatest drivers I've ever drove. We could come over the hill side by side at Curry and give room to each other, not like they do today, around the off of the bank. So you can trust people like that. And just another little story, because it's next day, actually. We go down to a Gold Star race at Manfield, and I said, I won't be doing qualifying because we have a father and a horse running at Albuquerque. So we went to watch the races, and I said, I'll start off the back tomorrow. And we'd had lunch there, and a few bourbons and everything like that. So by the time I got back, qualifying had been a little bit delayed, and there was still 15 minutes to go. And the guy said, your car's warm, jump in this car, we're ready. I said, no, I can't do that. And anyway, I got talked into it, and in 4 laps I took the pole position on David. And he wanted to go, what happened? I said, I'll take the horse racing next time and show you.
And this is the guy who doesn't drink. Kenny has been absolutely instrumental in helping me get the Formula Open New Zealand thing going. So thank you, buddy. You're much appreciated.
Pleasure and loyalty around the whole
I think we need a break. We're going to have an auction later on. We'll have a final wrap-up of one or two chats. We have got dessert here. It's always a concern when you're the MC. You get people up, they have dessert, and then you lose the audience. And we need your money for the auction. So I'm taking a risk here. Shall I let you have dessert? Yes, I will let you have dessert. But before you go, just a quick Ken Smith story. With Graham Lawrence, for reasons I don't really want to go into, ended up at a Formula 5000 AGM a couple of years ago. Now, if you've ever attended an annual general meeting of anything, you know that given the choice of sticking pins in your eyes or going to an AGM, those pins things are starting to look pretty damn interesting. And at the end of the AGM, Shag gets up and starts shuffling towards the door. It's about 3 o'clock. And the chairman looks up, sort of slightly disapproving really, as if to say, what's going on here? And Shag says, look, I've got to get back to Hamilton. Kenny Smith, as quick as a flash, seeing an opening that he also could leave at the same time, walking in behind, he says, and I'm his caregiver.
Once again on the family issue, two brothers that went motor racing were brought up. Well, how far away? Stand up, Ross. How far away from here, Ross? Oh, stand up. Come on, Ross. Get up. How far away from here did you guys grow up?
Yeah, we lived only were a few minutes from me.
As the crow flies, it's about a gunshot, I think.
Yeah, it's not far.
So you and Jimmy grew up here and you built cars in the area and went racing together, and you basically built a family business right through to supercars.
Yeah, we did it. Just took our time, you know, and we moved to Australia. I moved to Australia in '96, and the years went by. Anyway, there came a time not long ago that we decided we'd done okay, and I'm retired now.
I heard you've still got a workshop somewhere.
You're surprised what we did.
There is one car I've got to talk to you about. I'm not going to talk to you about it. There was a car that's still up the thing. It's in existence today. I'm not sure if the current owner is here tonight, but there was a little Ford Escort that you built, and if I remember right, it was a big purple car. And you and Jimmy built it, and it had a 1300cc engine with a twin cam head on it, and it's still around.
Yeah, it went on to do well, that car, but the worst part about it is at that stage we were based with Dennis Barr with our performance developments, and they had a cam grinder there, so every time we went out, a new race meeting had different cams in it, so I think we should have just left it alone, actually, it'd be nice.
That wasn't a bloke called Ray Stone, was it?
No, Ray's right next to me, there's no relation. But the boys like what Ray done. And I was going to say, well done to the Lawrence family too. Well, good.
Thank you very much. Ross Stone, folks.
Right, I'm just going to hand the microphone over to somebody who's quite shy, and talking to an audience is not something he's comfortable with, but he's going to give it his best shot, and he will explain why he's wearing this very, very pretty hat with his ponytails. Ray Williams.
Thank you, Michael. G'day. Good evening, people. Are we having a good evening? What about paradise? Are we happy? Thank you. I'm here with the famous Vern Reeves, and we're having an auction tonight. It's all for prostate cancer awareness. Prostate cancer, that's the blue hat, the blue pigtails, but the Willie Nelson look about us here. We're going to have an auction. We want you to not be shy. We want you to donate to the very, very, very good cause. What we're going to do, have an auction. When you bid on something, the bid actually is your bid, and that stands. So it's a donation bid. So even if you bid $50 or $5,000, and if you don't win the prizes, we still want you to put that donation money in the blue bucket, please, for prostate cancer at the end of the night. That's how it works tonight, okay? Don't be shy. It's all for a very, very good cause. Vern?
Yeah, so we're going to get right down to the bottom of things. So excuse the pun. What I do want to say is what you've seen here tonight from some real men is emotion. So guys, it's okay to be emotional. It's okay to talk to your mate and tell them you've got a problem. And it is okay to go and get tested. Do it. Do it for your family. We've seen that emotion. I personally experienced it. My brother here from another mother and his 4 brothers had all been through prostate and come out the other side. Brian Lawrence is sharing with me tonight that all of his brothers have been through and recovered. So it is amongst all of us, some 8,000 Kiwi men die per year. So yeah, I want you to dig deep, right down to the bottom of your pockets for a real good cause. Thank you.
Okay, so I get done, I've got an international motor racing license, so I've got to get a full medical every year. I go to the doctor and said, okay, Ray, prostate cancer check, you enjoy this, don't you? I said, no, I don't. I said, okay, well, you just take your trousers off and I said, okay, and it won't take long. Okay, so being a good person, he said, okay, where should I put my trousers? He said, put them on the chair over there, put mine. You've got to watch it, you go to the doctor and he says, the doctor's there and he's got things blue gloves on, he's talking to himself, saying, no, this is your first prostate check now, Dave, don't get excited. I know there's something, the first prostate check, Dave, try not to get excited. Sometimes a man gets an erection with that, it's not unusual, I don't want you to be embarrassed. I said, my name's Ray, and the doctor said, yeah, I know, my name's Dave. All joking aside. So truly, I go to the gym 3 times a week. I'm 78 last couple of weeks ago, so I'm doing all right. I'm 78. Young boy, thanks, Kenny. Anyway, I go to the gym and all of us there, all in our 70s, we play a bit of volleyball, we do a bit of exercise and try and stay fit. But one of my good mates a few years ago, 72, and he'd been having the PSA every year, PSA numbers, PSA, they've never had the digital. People have tried with the digital, not comfortable, something that you do, you've got to do it, guys. Anyway, didn't have the digital check, and he had the PSA suddenly went up, and the doctor does the digital for him, and he says, oops, what do you mean, oops? Sorry, mate, the prostate's grown, the PSA didn't show until it's too late. You give you 3 months, sure enough, he's gone. So just be aware, be concerned, don't be afraid, get it checked. It's worse than it's just a bad thing, okay? So let's all just get checked and make sure you get it every 6 months, you say? Right, option time.
So Ray's going to record your name as best we can as it goes through the process. So the first option will open tonight. Michael is holding NZIGP signed by all of the guys. Do we have a bid off the floor for 100? Can we get it going at 100? Yeah. 100 at the end. Brian? Yes. Right, okay. Any advances on 100? PJ? What is it? 2? Any advances on the 2? Hey, Jarvis. What do you do? Yes. Going quiet's no good. Any more? Anything else on the 200? Okay. 120. What was that? 120. 120. We've got 200 over there against you, Brian. Okay. Greg. 300 from Greg. Any more? Before we close this one off and move straight to the next. Going once. Going twice. Gone. Thank you. So the second one, gents, is a great photo of Paul and his escort. Again, Capri, I'm sorry. There's another one there. Yeah, Clyde. So, opening bid. Anyone at 100? Yep. 10 jars. Advances on. Can we get 2? It's a great photo for a man cave. Katie. Any advances on that? Can we have one more? Take a 50. And it is autographed by Paul and Ray Stone. Thank you, Ray. Yeah. 210 anyway. 220. Going. First call. Second call, third, gone. He didn't yell, Ted. Let's make it. Yeah, I'll put it on 100. Second bit. All quiet. Go on, you don't want to leave me there with that. Can we get 50? No, all quiet. Great, I'll leave you aside.
Give us a 10. 110 somewhere. Come on. Paradise. Who's got 110? Put a hand up somewhere.
Okay, going once, going twice, gone. There's something a little special here. Yep. Man size. As you can see from Michael Holding. What's your opening bid on that, folks?
Full play, great stone,
Yeah.
sign.
Signed by both. Can we get 100 on an opening? PJ. Brian. Be quiet over there, mate. You're at the park over there.
Thank you.
Mr. Anderson, any advances on the 200? PJ at 3. Oh, Mr. Mortimer. Nice to see you. He did. Yeah. Any advances on the 3?
350. Paul.
350 from Paul. Advances on the 350. Going once.
360. Beat his own bid. Oh, that's the spirit we want to see. Come on. Get in.
Any advances on that? 360. Going once.
Another one.
PJ. 4.
400 for PJ. 401. 401 to Paul Radisson. 401. Anyone going to be 401? 410. 410.
So we have a bit of fun with it, guys. And that's what it's all about. So we got 410. Is that right, Ray?
410 for PJ. Okay.
What do you say? 450? 1450. Okay. All right. Any advances on? Going once. Twice. All gone. Doesn't fall. Still got a story to tell here. There's a great mate of mine here in the room. Warwick Mortimer sitting over there. I always remember Warwick being one of these first fundraising nights and donated a picture for the very type of event we're doing now. Can't remember what the picture was, but the interesting thing was that Warwick actually did against his own picture and took it home for $3,000. So, way to go. Hey, Morty. All right. Okay, so now we're down to the big one. And I'd actually like Michael to perhaps just talk a moment about this and how it came about. Michael, could you explain to the audience how this came about from Steve?
I'm sorry, Vern, I was just explaining Paul Radisson would like that photograph to be dedicated to Paul from Paul. So we were just negotiating that, so I missed your question entirely. So
could you explain how this came about from Steve, how where he is over the back there?
well, I think the best person to explain that is Steve Haggett.
Oh, if he would.
So I'll walk the microphone over to Steve.
When Graham approached us, before Christmas, we were doing this meeting,
Steve, is something quite special, and I'm sure that it's going to be rewarded with the sum of money that is raised any second by these two auctioneers.
So over the afternoon I sort of wandered around and talked to a couple of guys who I knew who couldn't be here tonight. So we actually have an opening bid from Barry Kirkbernard up there of $250 to kick the ball off on this one. So do we have any advances on 250 as an opening bid? 500 from the lady here at the front table. The advances on the 500. PJ. 600. 600 from PJ. Morty. Figure. How much work? 5. 600. 600 for Morty. Sorry. 750. Thank you. Thank you. Table. So we've got a bid now from PJ for 1,000. Great, great. Can we see any advances on that? As I said before, we actually want to bid your bottom pocket. If we can. So do we have any advances on 1,000? 1,100. PJ, you want to respond to that? 1,100. Thank you. Okay, quiet on folks. Let's see if we can get it up there further. Any other remarks on this?
Forever.
What about if we got some signatures on there? Would that actually make a bit of a difference? Would that make a difference, guys and ladies? Or would you prefer it as it stands? Gentlemen over here couldn't hear what you said.
Someone have a voice over there?
We'll sign it for you.
You'll sign it for us? Good plan. It'll cost you. How much are you going to pay to sign it? Now it's gone quiet. Cap got your tongue?
Where are you going to stop
We're sitting at the time. 1150 is the PJ at the moment.
1150 to PJ.
It's got to be 1,200 somewhere.
Can we get to the 1,200? We have 1,200 over here. Behind Hannah.
Steve. 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 1,200.
Okay. Yes, I think we will. We're actually over our time limit in here. So if there's no further bids, I'll call it once at the figure rate. $1,200 for Steve. So first call at 1,200. Second call at 1,200.
Any hands raised anywhere?
Third call, going, gone. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Great effort.
What I can tell you though, don't forget, each of your bids please are actually a donation right from the start. Brian, 50 cents. But also, PJ putting in 410 for that bid. Then we get on to the last one. We've got Barry Cookman putting in 250. Alyssa's putting in 750. PJ's putting in 1150 again here. Maud's putting in 600. Marie's putting in 1100. And Steve with the winning bid 1200. We want all those dollars please into the bucket. Appreciate it very, very, very much. Well done.
Obviously, you're not all carrying cash. So if you'd like to just go over and see Tim and Jane over there, we'll organise credit cards or whatever we can do to help you out. If you have helped out such a really cool thing. So I take my hats off to you all. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a wonderful evening.
I told you you'd overcome your shyness, and you did it very well, Ray. I'm very proud of you. You'll go far. Okay, now look, I'm sorry about the music that was coming on in there. I loathe Simon and Garfunkel as much as the next man, but apparently that is a wind-up to get us out of here because we were due to leave at 9. Anyone tell you, JT?
No, nobody told me. That's the last one.
Alright, so we are very near the end of the evening. We'll be very relieved to know. So I'm going to invite up now Willard Martin from New Zealand Grand Prix because we have 4 new inductees into the New Zealand Grand Prix Legends Club. Willard. We have a quick word first, Willard.
Yeah, but this is not the Hearts and Allegiance Club. Great to have you along this weekend. It has been a very great day today and tonight, and we're looking forward to another good day tomorrow. Nice to have these functions and to have this nice group of people to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Willard. Now there are 4 new inductees into the New Zealand Grand Prix Legends Club. And 2 of them are here tonight, so I'll go through them. Can I do alphabetical order in my head? I think I can do it. The first one is not here. In fact, the first 2 alphabetically are not here. Anyone who has a number plate Psalm 1, you probably could tell was a fairly committed Christian, but it actually also could stand for Paul and Sue Adams Love Motorsport. And Paul Adams, who you will remember from early days of New Zealand Racing, is an inductee in 2024 into the Grand Prix Legends Club. And Jamie Azelby, probably the original Kiwi in the shed, the man that did the most of the least of New Zealand sports car racing, multiple-time New Zealand sports car racer, and very worthy to have Jamie Azelby join that list. So, accountancy's loss was motor racing's gain. It's next month is 50 years since Steve Horn left this country to go and seek his fortune on the world motor racing stage. And as we saw when we talked to him earlier on this evening, it led all the way to winning the Indianapolis 500 as team manager. So, Steve, do you want to come forward, please? Steve was here. So, all right, well, that was all for nothing. Look, you get over your shyness very quickly, don't you? All right. Now, last but not least, Brian Lawrence and I, in 1996, led a tour to the Australian, to Bathurst. And I arrived at Bathurst and we immediately jumped into a car and got whizzed around Mount Panorama. When I say whizzed, I mean whizzed around Mount Panorama by somebody who knew their way around Mount Panorama. And that was Heather Spurl, and it was a mighty drive because I commentated the whole way live on radio back to New Zealand. So Heather, congratulations, you are now back to New Zealand.
Firstly, I'm stunned. I'm in such illustrious company that Thank you.
Let's just talk a wee bit about what you've done, Heather, because you sort of broke the glass ceiling in a way. You went Formula Ford racing, and not many ladies have done that in New Zealand, and then you went into Formula Pacific racing, David Oxford Chevron, and then Rolls, and saloon cars along the way. Bathurst 1990, I think, and then world speed records on water.
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster ride. I actually said this earlier this evening. It's so much fun to listen to people who had families to help them along the way, and I didn't have any of that. So when I started motor racing, it was a family sport, but it wasn't a family participant sport. So I was the first one into it. So it was one of those things where you learned to do things the hard way. You didn't have anyone to follow, you didn't have anyone to help. So every step you took was something new into that dark world you didn't know about. And in amongst it all, I have to say that the ladies in the room will understand what I'm talking about. When I actually got out there and you start being told to go back to the kitchen and it's where you belong and that kind of stuff, that was happening back then. It doesn't happen today, but it was happening back then. So there was an awful lot to get over. And a lot of the guys in this room, I took my hat to a lot of them. So many people that made me feel welcome, as many as those that didn't want a female involved in motorsport. So it was a big step to overcome. It was an awful lot of people that helped me get there. I remember one story with Graham. I took my wheels up with 1x4 Pacific Rocks to get balanced with young people, Oswald at the time. And Graham walked back to me and he said, "How dare you bring those wheels to me? They're dirty." And that was my first lesson in the fact that, you got dirt and shit on the wheels and it upsets the balance of them. I didn't know. But the way Graham told me was a nice way, but it pointed out the fact that you have to learn these things to get somewhere. So all the way through it was steps in the process, and you learned every time you did something wrong, and it was a brilliant career. I loved every moment of it. We didn't quite get some of the accolades, the championships and stuff like that, but we did get the world speed. So I'm very, very proud and I'm very humbled. I didn't know about this and wow. Yeah. Thank you.
So humble that we forgot to mention he's also got an MBE. So JT.
There we go. Okay, folks, that's just about it for the night. We've just got a couple of things to do. Excuse me. But first I'd just like to you all put your hands together for Michael Clark. I wouldn't have known what about him. Okay. Graham would like to say a few words in farewell, and then we've got one more thing to do after that, and we'll
I'd just like to say that, as you can well imagine, to put something like this together and the events that happen today and what's going to happen tomorrow takes a lot of courage, a lot of organisation. So I'd like to say a special thanks to everybody that's contributed, and the other factor is to each and every one of you that have taken the time, spent the money, all those sorts of things to come along, because it's really tremendous, and we as a family certainly appreciate it. The other thing is that probably, I don't know, about 90 times or 94 times over the last 7 or 8 months, I've got divorced and got remarried, got divorced and remarried. So I'd like to say big thanks to Marie, first of all, for putting up with me and for remembering, oh shit, what about him? Jeez, what about him? Is this the last time? Yes. So thanks everybody. Appreciate it. All the best.
There's one last thing I'm going to do tonight, and it's the presentation of the Les Rankin Trophy. Les was both player of course and president of the NZLGP. Les Rankin Trophy was donated by Marilyn Rankin and family. Over the years, it's been awarded by the President for outstanding contribution to New Zealand International Grand Prix. And some of the past winners have been Eric Mallard, or you hate. First one, Graham Mortensen, Willard Martin's received it, Steve Malahoosh, Debbie Day, who's done a hell of a lot for the sport, Carl Fenn, 2019, Tim Hill, who's still very much involved, Kim Fisher, Steve Collier, Kevin Lancaster, and this year it goes to somebody who I think is incredibly deserving and has proved it tonight, Michael Clark.
And I'm thinking, well, there's a very illustrious bunch of people that one could never imagine being part of. But thank you very much indeed. This is a shock.
You're well deserving of Michael, and you do a lot for the sport, and we all appreciate it. You've done it again tonight. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I just have one final voice of concern, really. Has anyone come here tonight in an electric car? Well, I've got very great concerns for my friend Frank, who bought a Tesla. And he liked that so much he bought an electric bike. And he liked that so much he bought an electric guitar. And he liked that so much he got an electric blanket. Then he got an electric chair and I haven't heard him for a couple of days.
Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That concludes the evening. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for staying. And we're pleased to have put this on for you. We certainly look forward to next year with another very rewarding recipient. Thank you.